hot, no pause, hands up when we walk. Ali set the pace, Mystic brings a spark. Steve in the cut, now the whole block start. Cold on the edge till we hit. I don't call that name and we break it down, 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 down. Game time grind. Game time grind. Ali, Mystic, Steve, all in line. Game time grind. Game time grind. Bring the raw back. We on tonight.
Good evening, good day, good afternoon, good morning to some. It's a brand new day here on the Game Time Grind. I'm your host. That's Steve. That's Mystic. And welcome to a brand new exclusive episode. Everybody hit the like button. How's it going, gentlemen? How you guys been?
I'm feeling good. I just got the backwoods.
Yeah, definitely. However, I'm very disappointed in you. You did not put up your backwoods poster yet.
Not yet. Okay, I gotta update that. It's okay. It'll be there. Don't worry.
It will be there. I gotcha. Steve, how's it going, man? I see you have a shrine of Brian Hartline behind you now.
Our Lord and Savior, Brian Hartline's come down to the swamp woods to bring us that natty.
Yeah. I have an interesting photo that's been provided by a fan. He says this is the real picture of the shrine. What was I don't speak sign language. Can you explain to me, elaborate on what that means?
Nothing, brother.
No, I'm not gonna show it. I won't show. Let's just say if you guys donate, I'll say a couple $100. We'll say 300, 100 for each of us. Then maybe we'll show it.
At 200, no, even better. At 200 subscribers, we'll show it.
At 200 subscribers. Okay. Man, this is fourth and only. That's what this is. Gotta get me up to 200 tips, and then I'll definitely show you some photos. Everybody hit the like button, subscribe if you're brand new. This is a college football show made by just straight up college football fans. That's all we are. We're not experts. We're just shooting this shit, talking about our favorite subject. Today we'll be talking about training camp, all the hot news you could get from training camp. You know, after the first week, there's a lot of tidbits that I really want to talk about, both from our favorite teams, some other teams around the league as well. So definitely hit the like button. If you weren't here on Tuesday, by the way, shout out to those two lucky people that won a raffle and the giveaway. Definitely shout out to them. We will have more giveaways, and once we hit our next milestone, I'll definitely be advertising that. Make sure everyone has a fair shot at getting in as well, to make sure that everyone is involved. But definitely thank you so much from the bottom of our heart. Everybody here from 4th and 10U, Game Time Grind, anyone involved with our channel, we appreciate you guys 100% for sticking with us and putting up with, me and Mystic and Steve and everything. We really appreciate it. So, you guys want add anything to that? No?
When things are well spoken, you don't got to add to it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I was just gonna say, if we're fourth and only, that makes Niner fourth and only fans.
Yeah. By the way, Steve has sent me his first OnlyFans, fourth and only picture. Right there. That's Steve's first one he sent to me. That's not even the one I want to share at the next milestone. At 200 subscribers, that's not even it. But still, I thought that was hilarious. Everybody hit the like button. I want to get into this. I want to talk about some stuff going on. So this was kind of interesting. I was reading an article, I guess. A certain college coach has said, Lane Kiffin gets too much credit for Trinidad Chambliss in his rise in 2025. Does he get too much credit? What do you guys think?
Ooh, I like it. I love it. And I want some more of it. That's what those wings are for, right? I'm just kidding. Anyway, what I like, I kind of thought this. I kind of thought this going into the postseason last year.
Yeah.
I was like, when he left, I was okay. Is this kid and this team going to fall apart, or are they going to stand up and play some really good football? And they played some really good football. Obviously, what was it, Golding? Got to give him some credit. But for those guys not to waver, to play in the system, to play at a high level, I don't think that Kiffin deserves all the credit for Chambliss. I think Chambliss has done everything possible and then some to show that he is just that good, and people just missed him.
Absolutely. What do you got, Steve?
Well, Trinidad James, I'm just kidding. Trinidad Shambles. I mean, he showed some stuff last year without Kiffin there. So, I mean, is Kiffin just getting carried by his quarterbacks? Well, there's no way to know this year because he's probably going to get carried by Sam Levitt. So, I don't think it's a stretch to say that these quarterbacks carried Kiffin. I think we've been pretty clear on how we feel about Lane Kiffin as a coach.
Listen. For me, if you look at it, right, Chambliss completed what 70? Actually, not 70. I'm sorry. Roughly around 68% of his passes for 921 yards and 4 touchdowns, right, in the college football playoff. This run also included the big upset against Georgia, who I have argued Georgia, if you look at it historically, has had one of the hardest hitting, if not the hardest hitting defense in all of college football, to be honest. If you go back and listen to some of my older shows. In addition to that, if you also look at what happened with Lane Kiffin and how he was basically let go and everything at the end of the season, if really Lane Kiffin deserved any credit from Chambliss, you would have seen a massive drop off of his game. And obviously you didn't. In fact, I would say that he actually showed way more confidence and more elite tendencies to rise above the game during his college football playoff run. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's just what I think. I think Lane Kiffin may get some credit just for bringing the kid to the school. But when it comes to like what he's done and been able to accomplish, yeah, part of it may be for the regular season, but in the college football playoff, that was all Chambliss, Golding, and the company that was still in the building. That's just all I'm going to say, because that's just how I think. I think the world of this kid. I think he does have an ability to be a top quarterback, even at the next level. I've argued that if you really look at it, this is a guy with traits that you would see in one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks picked in a draft, to be honest. If there wasn't a Dante Moore and an Arch Manning, he could definitely be 1 and 2, to be honest, in 2027. And who knows? Maybe he has one crazy run this season, and maybe that ends up happening. But I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it. Kind of, there would have been the drop off, right? Like,
Yeah,
there just wasn't. I think sometimes, and to the onus of somebody that we all talk a lot with in our Dolphin spaces, right? Shout out to the Blitz Pickup Lewis. He always says it all the time. People put way too much on coaching. Like, coaching matters. I'm not going to pretend like coaching doesn't matter, because it does matter. But sometimes you have players who just play well enough that they can withstand not having a coach. And again, like I said, we talked about Lane Kiffin before. He's okay. Like, I think he's one of those coaches whose name is just so recognizable. He's somehow earned this lineage or respect that he hasn't quite earned, in my opinion. But again, that's my opinion.
Any other thoughts on Chambliss at
I
all?
need I need a meme or something that we put on the screen when he says that says bingo.
Bingo. You need a sound effect for that, to be honest. I need to find that.
Or that. There you go.
Definitely 100%. Where's the bingo? I saw that. All right. So let's keep it moving. So this is a team that we haven't talked about a lot at all, but I want your guys' initial thoughts on this guy. So Oklahoma State, that's a team we haven't talked about at all this season. And when it comes to history of college football, Oklahoma State is one of those teams that have definitely been in the thick of it. But people are saying that because of their new QB addition, Drew Mestemaker, Oklahoma State might be on the rise. Like, what do you guys think? What's your initial thoughts about Oklahoma State, if any?
I would say I always try to pay attention to Oklahoma State, hoping they might do something because I know what the Oklahoma State rivalry is really cool. I enjoy watching that game for some reason. I'm like that, so that's why I'm like, hey, what's Oklahoma? Man, didn't why is it losing me? The running back who was just there.
Ollie Gordon?
Yeah, thank you. I don't know why that was escaping me. I enjoyed watching him when he was there. So it's again, you pick up on some guys every so often at Oklahoma State, and you're like, I like this. This is good football. So they're on my to watch list for sure this year.
I mean, you look at it. You look at the Big 12 in general, right? When it comes to the Big 12, you always think of like the air raid offensive system that Mike Leach provided with Texas Tech, right? And actually, Mike Leach was their offensive coordinator, University of Oklahoma, which not a lot of people know about. He has, he then arguably perfected the offensive system at Texas Tech. And then also you look at Art Briles, who ran the air raid at Baylor. You look at Holgerson, who ran it at West Virginia, and even longtime Oklahoma State Cowboy head coach Mike Gundy, who is one of the OGs of college football, ran a high-flying offense until the very end in his legendary 21-season career in Stillwater, right? The big thing about Oklahoma State is there's a new expectation, I want to say. With Eric Morris being there, they do expect him to instill some type of high-flying offense to be able to compete with the rest of the Big 12. I think I want to say from what I remember, Drew Mestemaker was the quarterback at North Texas, right? That's where he was at, if I'm correct on that.
I believe so.
Yeah, for the last 2 seasons, he was at North Texas. He led the FBS in passing, I want to say over 4,300 yards, 30-something touchdowns. I think he has a record that he shares with another top quarterback in college football right now. Something to that effect, right? My point is, what I'm getting at is that a quarterback can make all the world of a difference when you're a new head coach on a new team. And I think if I'm going into a new system or a new program altogether, a guy like Mestemaker can make the world difference. And I do have expectations for him. I do expect him to take another step forward. I do expect that program to become better and more prominent and start to grow more after this first initial year. I guess for me, the biggest shock for me was Mestemaker actually going to Oklahoma State, because there was a lot of bigger programs that were interested in him. I know that for a fact, as well as people thought maybe he could jump to the NFL possibly. I don't know. What do you guys think about the whole Mestemaker going to Oklahoma State? Do you think he would have been better off going somewhere else, maybe?
If the dude didn't have extensive familiarity with the system he's going in, I would say, of course. but he already understands the system that he's going in, and it sounds like he plays at a high level. So I think it's a perfect move. Again, as a football player, you're supposed to do what fits you best. Not all, in my opinion. That might not be true for some. Some people want to take the most money, whatever. But if I'm trying to go be an athlete to become the best version of myself, then I'm going to go to the program that gives me that best opportunity to do so. So playing style, feeds into that. The fact that he's getting right into a playing style of an offense that he thrives in, that's perfect for him. Another thing that I guess I got to throw in this whole thing is maybe we got to be careful about how we look at this team as well, because they have 81 new people on this team, 62 transfers. That's wild. And we saw what happened to Bill Belichick and that North Carolina team when they had, 75 transfers or 75 new faces last year? Like, you really got to be careful with this team too, but they have talent. They have tons of talent. The running back they have is just as explosive and has crazy numbers too. So, again, a good system, but also looks like there's weapons to complement him within the system. So, great move in my opinion.
The only thing I remember about Master was USF completely just running him over. That's all I remember. I mean, we got
what a homer take. Oh.
You can say homer take. That was a 63-36 game, so you can call it what you want. No, I mean, Master Maker has a lot of talent. He was a mobile quarterback. He's got an arm. I get why bigger programs wanted him. I just don't know. I don't know if he's ready for that level of competition. We'll see some better weapons, but I mean, do y'all remember why Ollie Gordon had that downward turn at Oklahoma?
Because the team was trash and went 1-11.
Because they don't know how to build an offensive line.
Yeah,
it was fucking disgusting. They literally got Ollie hurt. It was literally the whole offense was turn and hand the ball to Ollie Gordon. All right, bye. And then he was getting killed in the backfield.
So I mentioned earlier that he's tied with another top QB in college football, right? For most touchdowns in college football. Do you know who that other person is that he's tied with? He threw for 34 touchdowns and he ran for 5 more. Do you know who it is?
For the most touchdowns?
For second most.
Second most.
Yes.
Because all he's saying, I guess I got to say Julian Sayin first.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
And it's all of college sports, right?
Arch Manning came to mind, but I don't think Arch threw that.
This is the guy that you guys have argued with me may win the Heisman this year. Darian Menza. He is tied with Darian Menza for second most touchdowns, right?
That makes sense.
So that being said, he threw for 34, ran for 5 more, right? So he already accounts for 39 touchdowns, almost 40 touchdowns. I have to give it to the kid. I don't care if he's playing USF or some AAC team or whatever. I don't really care. If he's producing, then hell yeah. If he comes into Oklahoma State and he's producing and putting up similar numbers, then he's a legit dude in my book. That's how I'm looking at it. I think this is
how many?
He had 34 touchdowns and ran for 5 more. According to what I'm reading, and this is what the article states, it says he led FBS in passing yards with 4,379 last season. He also threw for 34 touchdowns, tied for second most in college football alongside Duke's Darian Menza, and he rushed for 5 more.
That's what they're going on. It's the passing touchdowns that were second most. I was gonna say, because if they're talking about whole touchdowns, it was throwing me off because I knew Bynum had over 40. Mm-hmm. That's why it was throwing me off you saying that, because I know Biden didn't lead in all touchdowns. So I was
No,
just
no,
clear.
no, no. It's all good. For me, that's very impressive though, that he's already produced enough to be at a level that we're talking about a guy that could be a Heisman favorite, possibly.
Oh, yeah.
Right? At least that's all when everyone's telling me. Menza's the next dude. You know what I mean? That's what I've been being told.
I've
So I'm
been hearing
buying.
that too.
So that's why I'm kind of impressed by him. But I think the best move for him when it comes to what his end goals are, past college football, is to move to a team that's in the Big 12 or a team that can compete like Oklahoma State in that environment, because I think that's higher competition. And if he's able to perform anything near what he did at North Texas, I think overall that people or scouts are going to look, well, this guy's consistent. He definitely showed he can do it at different levels. I think it's good. You know what I mean? I think it's good for his career path, to be honest. All right. The next thing I want to talk about, and this thing is more of like an opinion based. And no, I'm not talking about them because they may be my favorite team. It's just an interesting thing that I want to bring up. So as you've seen over the past 2 weeks, a lot of people have been putting out their top 25. The Ohio State's number one in the preseason coaches poll, to give you an example, right? Though I disagree with the coaches poll, even though I love my team, you can see I rep them and everything. And I am a firm believer, go win games. We chase W's. We don't chase stats. I'd rather have the W's than anything else, right? My thing is that I'm confident about this season, but I think the coaches poll is a little bit too confident, and it kind of scares me, right? Just a little bit. So an article was made that's more of like an opinion piece, and the title of the article made me think a lot about what they were asking. Why Ohio State has more to lose than any other team in college football. So I started thinking about it. Why do they have more to lose? We're talking about a team that consistently the last 2 seasons have made college football playoff appearances, won a national championship on a hell of a end of season run that they had to beat 4 straight ranked teams, and they beat like 4 or 5 top 5 teams throughout the season, right? And they didn't just win. They really came in. They in some cases dominated that Oregon game. I never thought in my life they would have to start in that Rose Bowl like they did, right? I never thought that's how it would go. That's impressive. The next season, undefeated season, regular season, only lost to Indiana and then Miami, obviously, right? So does Ohio State have more to lose than any other team? Let's say they go 12-2 again, right? They lose 2 games and then losing the college football playoff or something to that effect. Does that is that bad? Are we going to lose the most, or is it just another day because we did the same thing? We played at a very high level, just didn't get it done. We already won our national championship 2 seasons ago. Or do we have more to lose because of the fan base, because of the expectations of the fan base? For me, Ohio State fans, it's you either win or you're shit and you go home, right? And if you can't beat Michigan, get the fuck out. That's what a lot of people think. Our expectations are national championships and beating Michigan every year. That's basically what it is. So what my question to you guys is it more to lose with the fans, or is it more to lose altogether? What do you guys think? They not lose anything. Let's say they have a regular season, they win, they go 10-2, maybe 11-1, and then they one and done in the playoffs or something. Would that be such a bad? I mean, they would have made 3 playoffs straight. You know what I mean?
That don't mean nothing though. When you have the talent that is at Ohio State, from the quarterback to the running back to the wide receiver to the defense to every single pretty much position, you could say most of those guys are 100% starters on pretty much majority of the teams in the nation. When you have that talent, just making the college football playoff, in my opinion, is failure. Even if you go 11-1 and then you lose, that's failure. Like a successful season for Ohio State, in my opinion, making the national championship.
So I appreciate that, because that's kind of how I feel about it too. I don't care what happens to Michigan. I always look at postseason. What are we doing in postseason? Right? That's what's more important to me. My question to you is, now let's flip the argument, but change the team. Let's look at Alabama. We talked about Kellen DeBoer previously here when we broke down Alabama. We talked about Kellen DeBoer today in the Spaces.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were there for that part of it, Mystic, but let's say he has the 11-1 season or whatever, however many games SEC teams play nowadays, and he loses one game and goes into the playoffs and then loses. Do they have, oh my God, they're pulling their hair out? Should they fire the head coach? Like, what do you think?
So if I'm flipping it to Alabama.
Yeah.
Based on how I view Kalen DeBoer, I don't think he can win national championships right now against Day, against Signetti, against Cristobal. And there's just people I just don't think that he can outcoach. I think for them to make it, I think they have to win the first round. I think making it to the second, what is that? The quarterfinals or the semis, I think that's a successful season for Alabama. Again, just simply making it for Alabama based on what their history is, yeah, that's good for Kalen DeBoer. But start to show that you're growing as a coach and you are the guy who can succeed at Alabama by winning, a game here, a game there. That's going to start to build momentum for his playoffs moving forward, where we're expecting them to start making runs, right? Because right now, I don't expect them to make a run.
See, I think, just to give you my thoughts, and I'm going to let Steve go because Steve's been patiently quiet. I think that when it comes to like the Kellen DeBoer experiment in Alabama, I think the issue has not been his recruiting, because they've recruited high level. They got a hell of a big time quarterback that Steve loves, that he cannot wait to see what this guy does, whatever. It's like some 5-star guy. And then you look at their team and how they're built. They have brought in talent. Now, it's not a Nick Saban recruiting class, but it's a pretty decent and, good, respectfully ranked team, I would say, when it comes to recruiting, right? Now, they have some question marks at receiver because of injuries, and they really haven't had anyone besides Ryan Coleman Williams, or Ryan Williams Coleman. He changed his name. I'm sorry. My thing is that I don't really think they had anybody else that really could help take defense off of Ryan Williams as much as I think I would like. And even last year, I even argued when we had our breakdown that I felt that they relied on Ty Simpson way too much, right? And they didn't allow the offense to really organically take over games. They always gave it to Ty Simpson to make the decision, and he did a hell of a job. But that can only take you so far, right? So I guess for me is like losing. If you're just making the playoffs and you're losing a game and you're out, it's starting to catch up with you, especially when you have a season where the 2 out of the last 3 games that you play in a season, including the playoff, you're being outscored 66-10. That's a really big issue, bro. Losing the way they did against the Georgia in the SEC championship game. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Georgia did you a favor by allowing you to score the touchdown that you did during that game, because I could tell you it could have been 32 or higher, 35-0, to be honest. It should have been. They were doing the SEC a favor with that, to be honest. And then you look at how Indiana dismantled them in the college football playoff. 66-10 is the score difference. I think when you look at how DeBoer has lost, it's circumstantial, and it's such in a way that it stands out. and it leaves a bad taste in the fan base's thoughts. That's why I think he's on the hot seat. But if you really look at what he's been able to do, it's not so bad on paper, to be honest. It's just those 2 games and how it sat during that season. And even it's not just those 2 games, how they lost against Florida State. I'm sorry. That was kind of embarrassing in its own, but I don't know. People try to say that's a nothing burger, but I'm telling you it's a something. That's just what I think. What do you want to say, Steve? You've been chomping at the bit looking at me. You're like, get it done, Ollie. Get done.
Do you know what the difference between Alabama and Ohio State majorly is? Like expectation wise?
Win championships.
Do you remember the conversation we had on a show we did probably about a month ago, talking about what is a dynasty in college sports?
Yeah.
I gave you 2 names and eventually maybe a third if they continue to go the direction they're going.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia, Ohio State, and then Indiana if they continue to do what they did last year. Anywhere in that conversation sound like Alabama? Alabama is at a point where they're just looking to win a playoff game and get back to notoriety. Yeah, they're winning games, but those aren't coming in the playoffs. They got embarrassed. They got put in their place. You could make the argument Ohio State kind of got, not put in their place, but they lost the game they probably shouldn't have to Miami. They got bullied. Ohio State it's national championship or bust. You guys are in win now.
Yeah.
You have all the talent. Your quarterback put on what did it look like? 5-10 pounds to be able to take a beating from what we're seeing in camp. Chris Henry Jr.'s out here balling during training camp.
Give all my takes away.
Like, you're going to have like 1,000 takes. Those are the only 2 I know right now, top of my head.
Okay.
But like, Alabama is still trying to figure out their quarterback position because they got a guy who played well for them for 1 year and he's gone. Now they're on this, from what I was hearing today in our space that you were talking about. A gentleman was talking about I think he was a 5-star recruit they got last year that's showing out in camp this year. And they went and added another 4-star recruit to this year. And then, listen, they got a guy coming in with 60 touchdowns in a single season. That's 2 years of the last 2 years of Julian Saint's high school career. He has as many touchdowns. So, like, they have all the talent, but DeBoer hasn't done anything with it. It's different. With Ohio State, I agree with Mystic. It's national championship or it's bust. They cannot lose in the second round of the playoffs again.
I guess my argument is this. If you have, and I'm not disagreeing with you, it is championship or bust. That's the motto with Ohio State fans. That's what we always look for. We expect to be the best team, best team in the land, best band in the land. That's our thought process when it comes to college football and our marching band, to be honest, right? But the fact, if you have that philosophy as a fan base and as a program to compete national championship or bust every season, are you losing anything? That was really my thing. Like, let's say Ohio State goes in, they're 10-2, they make the playoffs. Let's say they get to the quarterfinals and then lose, right? Let's say that happens. Does that completely derail their recruiting line? Does that derail their NIL programs? Does that derail the program altogether and set them back 10 years? I don't think so. That's why I'm asking. It doesn't really matter. Doesn't need to.
Can I put it into an NFL perspective for you?
Sure.
Ohio State's the Kansas City Chiefs.
Damn, I'm the Kansas City Chiefs, huh?
If you really want to put it,
hold on. I like where your head's at, but as a fan, and knowing Ohio State fans and being in the Columbus area, like I don't live there now, but I was there for 23 years of my life. I would say we're the Eagles of college football because those fans, if you don't beat Michigan, they call
But
you.
that's not.
They show up at your house, dude. I'm not kidding. They show up at your house, and the state
I
police and the
understand.
governor's protection have to come help you. That's exactly
But
what happens. That's what happened to
that's
Ryan Day, legitly. Go
but
ahead.
that's not what I'm getting at. The expectation is why you're the Kansas City Chiefs. The Alabama is like the Buffalo Bills. Like
I disagree with you, though. The different you can't say that, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. I respect what you're saying, but I think you have your teams a little bit mixed up. It would make sense if they were the Buffalo Bills, where they win the regular season year in and year out, and they don't win the championship. But Alabama has won championships, so I would
not
say
under DeBoer.
Oregon is currently the Buffalo Bills because they've made the college football playoff every other year since its existence, and they haven't won shit. Every year, they've made finals several times and end up losing to Ohio State or another team, right? So that would make sense to me. I actually think Alabama is more of your Kansas City team, only because of the fact that they've won more national championships recently than Ohio State has.
But not under DeBoer. And the point that the point that I'm making is I think Alabama would be happy with just winning some playoff games and look like they're going in the right direction again because they were in the right direction. They were in the right direction, and then they lost their legendary head coach, right? Where Ohio State is every year, it's Super Bowl, national championship, or nothing.
Yeah.
That's why I'm
Yeah.
saying that.
I just got. I know what you're trying to say, Steve, and you're right. But I think Ollie's right with the wrong team, and I think Ollie was wrong with the team as well. And I think you'll understand why, Steve. I think they are the Los Angeles Chargers.
Ooh, Alabama's
Because-
Los Angeles Chargers?
Yes, because the Los Angeles Chargers would be so happy if Justin Herbert won them one playoff game.
I don't know. I think you guys are kind of wild with your NFL comparisons. I'm looking at the
Well, I
fact
get what
that
you're saying, but I was like, I think
Alabama's been one of the more dominant teams in the last 20 years. That's kind of why I'm looking at it that way.
But not under DeBoer.
I get you.
That's the difference. Like, and that's why I said it the way I did, because Alabama is now trying to get back to that, right? They were there under Saban, and then DeBoer gets there. What does Buffalo do every year? They win a bunch of games in the regular season, they make it to the playoffs, and then fart all over themselves, right? Like that. What did Alabama do last year? Won all these regular season games, went up against Georgia, got embarrassed, and then got into the playoffs and got beat.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, it's just two different teams on two different levels with different expectations.
I'm with you.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It is a solid take in the sense of like, I get where Ollie's coming from because yes, Alabama was that team, but they were that team under Saban, right? I think that's when you say they were the echelon, right?
Yeah.
We're still trying to see
the current state of Alabama versus
Yeah.
the historical state. I get what
Right.
you're saying, but do you guys get what I'm talking about? How Oregon has made the college football playoff like
100%.
every year and even gotten to the finals and only to be left with nothing. That's why I called the Buffalo Bills. That's
I
why.
get that. I get that comparison too, and I think they're both good comparisons in what we're talking about because again, it's factual stuff, right? It's
Yeah.
Oregon always has expectations, these high expectations to do all this, and they make themselves look so good, and they can't get it done.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're seeing Alabama do over here. They have all these expectations because of that period of time when they were dominant. So yeah, the expectations are there, but they're falling so short, it's unreal. Like they can't even win the first round, second round, first round? What did they make it to last year?
What?
Alabama
Oregon?
the first round.
Was that just a
Alabama?
first round exit?
No,
for Alabama?
Alabama beat Oklahoma first round and then
That's right,
lost to
second.
Indiana in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, so it's like that's if I was an Alabama fan, I'd be pissed. I guess you get a little bit in the sense of like I guess relief. Like I've always looked at it like if you lose to the team that becomes the champion, I guess you lost to the best of the best, but that doesn't really make it help. It doesn't help too much more, right?
Definitely. This is a good segue into my next question, and we're going to talk about this thing real quick, and then we're going to get to our main topic of tonight. But we already showed this graphic, right? This has the top 25 preseason coaches poll, right? We already kind of argued about like what the hell is Notre Dame doing at number 5? It should be at least Indiana or Miami at the very least, to be honest. Georgia, I don't even think is number 3. I think Texas should be ahead of them, to kind of give you, some thought processes on this. And they really just put Iowa finished at 18th, and they already have Tennessee above Iowa. I don't understand why. Are they just looking at it based on who Tennessee plays? Is that really all they're looking at? I don't know. It is what it is. But interesting thing, I was reading. There's an article about the 3 most overrated college football teams in the preseason coaches poll. They have 3 teams. I don't necessarily agree with these 3 teams. I want to know what you guys think. So first, without telling me the reason why or what team you would have ahead of blah, 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 just give me, and Steve, you go first, give me 3 teams you feel are overrated. Don't give me the reason why, just list them.
Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and LSU.
Interesting. What do you got, Mystic? Just give me the 3 teams. Don't tell me any reason behind it. I'll tell you why here.
Steve's so close. To me, it's unreal. Oklahoma, LSU, and Tennessee.
Okay, so you guys both gave me names that are not on this list with the exception of one, but mine are Notre Dame. I'll say Notre Dame. I will say Georgia, slightly. And then the last one I will have, in my opinion, is going to be technically Michigan at this. Not Michigan. I'm sorry, not Michigan. It's going to be SMU, because I think there's some teams that are better than SMU at this point. But the teams that they have in this article, very interesting. They think that number 4 Texas is overrated. I would argue it's underrated. Listen, Texas, we talked about it when we did the Dynasty show. Texas has built one of the most top to bottom teams. Every year they have extremely top talent, top transfer portal, top NIL, the whole 10 yards. They have everything. They're built just like Ohio State or an Oregon team, for example, which Oregon's number 2. And I will argue Texas has been doing it longer than Oregon, right? So I would have Texas, to be at number 3 at very least, if not number 2. Then they have on this list number 8 Texas A&M. Are they really that overrated? To be honest, Texas A&M has a returning quarterback, right? They still have talent. They still have running backs. They still have a decent defense with a pretty good defensive line. Their head coach is still there. Are they really that overrated? I don't think so. I think they would be in the top 10 at somewhere in the top 10, to be honest. So that's pretty fair for me. And then last but not least, they listed Penn State at 17 is overrated. Is it overrated though? Right now, so. If you look at Tennessee, let's just look at Tennessee, for example, right? You look at Tennessee's quarterback, and then you look at Penn State's quarterback, Rocco Beck, right? Rocco Beck is a name that's being discussed in NFL scout, as a big-time NFL quarterback. Rocco Beck has actually been listed as a possible first-rounder in people's names. Rocco Beck was breaking records and whatnot at Iowa State before he went to Penn State, right? You look at that defense that Penn State has. You look at the season that they're going to have. I kind of have them up there right around this area. Is Michigan really? I guess for Michigan is that they didn't have the biggest turnover, really. That's the only reason why they're a step ahead. That's the only reason. But I'll argue that Penn State, in some areas, like position to position, Penn State leads. So I personally don't think they're overrated. I think Tennessee at this point, granted, they have some players. I just don't trust who they have at quarterback at this point. I know a lot of people are big on them because they've had some good success in recruiting, which that's an argument for a different story because, to be honest, I think some of their recruiting is unethical on how they run their business. But hey, that's a different argument. That's a different show. But my point is that when you look at these rankings, I think the Tennessee ranking is a little bit over. I'm saying right now that they should be maybe a couple steps back, just a little bit, or maybe Tennessee is just right, to be honest, on this list. Southern California, USC is underrated, to be honest. I have them over LSU. Just telling you, that's how I feel about it.
If we're being honest, I mean, I guess I'm not paying attention too much, but LSU, I feel like, had this jump because Lane Kiffin's there.
Yeah, they also have the largest transfer portal. Like, their whole philosophy is transfer portal. That's pretty much what they did. They're really banking on that. And they have Sam Levitt on paper, but Sam Levitt, which we're going to get into, there's some concerns there, which we will get into here in a moment. But you also look at Ole Miss. Ole Miss behind Oklahoma. I'm sorry. I have argued that Ole Miss offense is one of the hottest offenses you're going to see in the SEC this season.
It's true.
You got their running back. They got the quarterback. They reloaded in receivers. Golding has himself an offense, and he's going to make sure that defense runs pretty strong too. So I don't know. The one that really surprised me on this list is Miami not being in the top 5. I really felt that they should have been in the top 5. Granted, they did lose a lot to the NFL draft, so maybe that has to be a part of it. But getting a big-time quarterback that has been argued to be one of the finalists for the Heisman, that's what people are projecting, should kind of put you right back in it. You know what I'm saying? I'll argue that Darian Menza has a possibility of having a better season. And to be honest, overall, I think he's more talented than the guy they had last year, Carson Beck.
Can I make an argument?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why the hell is Utah on here?
They did lose Kyle Whittingham. He's no longer there. They did have to overhaul an entire offensive line almost because they lost most of it to the draft. In fact, some people just left because of the transfer portal. But Utah is also always known. It's like a known landing spot. They'll still build those tough defenses and decent offense just to stay competitive.
Will they? Because they just lost a head coach that's been there for how many years?
It's still a landing spot, is basically what I'm saying.
Well, what if I told you there's a team not on this list that took a team that's never, ever been ranked and probably, I won't say ever, has very rarely ever been ranked and had them as a top 15 team last season?
Who? USF?
Auburn.
Oh.
Auburn's head coach took USF to a top 15 team.
Sure.
Top 18 team, something like that. A school with Mystic, you're muted.
I'd argue them over Houston. Like, why is the University of Houston on here?
Like, I think it's just because, there are always these things that they do where they just overlook stuff. Ghoulish took a team that was 3- and 2-star recruits and took them and made them actually look good. And he took the best parts of it to Auburn
So one thing we have to remember is that the coaches vote on this poll, right? So that's something they're also basing their rankings based on they don't want to hurt their team in the rankings as well. So they're maneuvering in a certain way. So we have to take it with a grain of salt, to be honest. But listen, I love my Buckeyes. I think they'll have one of the with some of the takes I'll tell you later tonight. I think that there's I can see some of the arguments why people have them at number one. I just don't know if we're number one overall in realistic terms. I would say we're definitely maybe in the top 5, but number one, that was a little bit too rich for me, just a tiny bit, just because of the question marks I still have. But there's some things that people have said, which I'll tell you what people are saying tonight, that might change your mind, or change my mind, I should say.
I will say I came across something interesting. I put it in our chat. It was On3 put up the first ever AP poll from 1936.
Wow.
Who do you think was the number one team in 1936?
Auburn.
Minnesota.
Minnesota? I put
top 5.
Go ahead.
The top 5 was Minnesota, Duke, Army, Northwestern, and Purdue.
Wow. Did you see the poll I had put back from 2007?
No, I didn't see that.
Let me find it real quick.
Funny, Yale. Speaking of, somebody we know.
You know what the BCS poll you had in here, Ollie?
Yeah. Did you see what the teams were?
You want me to read that to you?
Yeah, read it out loud so he can hear it.
Number 10, I'll just go backwards and forward. Number 10, Oregon. Number 9, West Virginia. Number 8, Arizona State. Number 7, Kentucky. Number 6, South Carolina. Number 5, Oklahoma. Number 4, LSU. Number 3, Boston College. Number 2, who's that, Steve? Who's your team?
USF, really? Damn.
South Florida, number 2. And number 1, Ohio State.
Yeah. I found that poll. Someone posted that. I was like, shit. I didn't know about this back in 2007. So.
Those were the early days. Those were the early days.
Yeah.
Those are back when we were digging our trenches to get sewer lines to our locker room.
Oh, shit. They were trying to get AC in the locker room. That's what they were trying to do. They didn't have any AC either.
Our locker rooms didn't have plumbing. We had just put them up. Like, we literally, our teachers went and dug the trenches for our stadium and stuff. Or our school's like little field back then. We didn't have a stadium.
That's crazy. That's nuts. All right, everybody hit the like button. This was a lot of fun. I want to talk about training camp and get into it. But before you do so, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you're brand new. And if you're looking for some cool sports cards, either college football, basketball, soccer, baseball, even Pokemon cards, if that's your thing, check out Magic Mike Cards.
Magic Mike's card! Magic Mike's card! Flip that back, let's go! Hands in the air, we're running this show!
Check out Magic Mike's Cards for all of your baseball, football, basketball, or sports memorabilia cards needs. You can check him out on Whatnot or even on Magic Mike Cards 3 on TikTok. Definitely check him out. You'll even DM him. He'll give you a good deal on some cards. He's the one that got me the big time Jeremiah Smith card that I'm going to hold forever. He definitely got that for me. And some lucky person yesterday, actually by the time this plays, it'll be that previous Tuesday, some lucky person got to go home with one of these packs that he puts together with some cool cards in it. So definitely shout out to that person. All right, so let's get into it. Training camp is here, right? It's the summer, the time for sweat, pads, and violence, right? It's every football fan's dream. People are already busting out their grills, tailgating in the parking lot at training camp because they're getting ready for the NFL, actually college football and just the football season altogether. I almost said NFL season. Been talking about NFL so much today in the X spaces that this is what happens. But the reality is everybody's getting ready for the football season. It doesn't matter if it's high school, college football, NFL. This is the best time of the year. This past week, we've seen a lot of teams put out some interesting things. Taking a lot of notes on different stuff. There's a lot of different big time camp matchups that we're going to talk about tonight, and we're going to expand on a little bit more. So make sure you hit the like button. Let's get into it. The first order of business that we're going to talk about is Alabama, right? The Keelan Russell versus Austin Mack era has begun. Let's talk about Alabama, and just bear with me 1 second. Why is my right at the most opportune time I end up having some type of system issue? But that's okay. I got it fixed here. Yeah, so let's get into this. So, Alabama has not completely eliminated the quarterback question. Either Keelan Russell or Austin Mack are competing for QB1, and the Tide have continued giving both meaningful work early in camp. Russell's upside is obvious, while Mack has several key years in Kellen DeBoer's system and is the more experienced option within the offense. I've been told, and this is what I've been being told by Alabama fans, that it really is Keelan Russell's spot to lose, to be honest. Overall, he's the one that's more athletic between the two. People are expecting early on you might see reps with Austin Mack, but by the end of this season, it will be Russell's position. The battle matters because Alabama doesn't need its quarterback simply to manage games. The Crimson Tide are attempting to get back into national title conversation, as we just got done talking about. And whoever wins needs to elevate the offense that must become more consistent on the ground, and along the offensive line. Russell remains the more intriguing ceiling play. Mack may be a safer initially, to be honest. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about this matchup? Do you guys kind of agree that he might go safe at first, but eventually it will be the more intriguing quarterback's position going with Russell? What do you think, Mystic?
I think it's already very intriguing that you have a redshirt freshman battling neck and neck with a redshirt junior. And the fact that it's an even split already kind of tells me a lot. I think, maybe Matt gets it maybe the first, week or two, but ultimately Russell's going to get this. Again, to your point, people, the tight end's name, Marshall Pritchett, has famously labeled him dynamite in a bottle due to his unique athletic playmaking ability. So that tells you right there that you have people on this offense that already like this kid. They're labeling this kid like he's going to be the guy before you know it. But obviously, he still has to continue to earn it, right? But then him and the offensive coordinator got something going on where you can tell the offensive coordinator's high on him and his arm ability as well. So it's just, when is this kid going to take it at this point, right? And I mean, this is good for Alabama. It's good that you have two quarterbacks that are looked at to be this good, right? You have the ability to really nail that position and put your team where they need to be.
Mm-hmm. What do you got, Steve?
I got a quote from their tight end. Mitchell Pritchett plays both Austin Mack and Keelan Russell in the quarterback battle. Sophomore tight ends, Marshall Pritchett, had a lot of praise for both. They were discussing the two quarterbacks competing for the starting job, and he called Mack a prototype NFL quarterback and praised his knowledge of the system. And I'm saying this, I'm going to finish this last and I'll explain why I think this matters. But his words about Russell were even more difficult to ignore. He called him the star sophomore dynamite in a bottle praising his ability to make plays, leaving you shaking your head. It's that upside with Russell that makes him so intriguing as the Alabama starter. The battle rages on, and the two upcoming scrimmages will go a long way towards deciding it, but it's harder to deny Russell's talent. Now, that being said, I think this is the age old question, right? If you were going to build a team and want to win, what's more important? The safe guy who's smart and understands the system, or the guy with all the athleticism that can make explosive plays on the regular?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that kind of goes with what I was about to bring up is like this quarterback battle doesn't just dictate who's at quarterback, right? It also dictates the receiver room and how they're going to produce off of that quarterback, right? We're looking at a guy like Ryan Williams or Ryan Coleman Williams, I think is what he goes by now. That receiver, this is an NFL year for him, I believe. I believe this is the year that he has to put it all on the table if he wants to, jump to the next landing spot of his career. They've already had some injuries reported before the start of training camp, so that they felt they were going to be kind of behind the eight ball a little bit. You're looking at, a lot of the younger receivers that they have in house, that's going to have to pick up slack, and pick up kind of where they kind of left off at the end of last season. So my biggest question mark is what impact is this quarterback going to have in the receiving room that is going to bring out the explosiveness of what this offense wants to do. And to just kind of give you a heads up, offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb has emphasized improving the entire offense, especially creating more explosive plays while simplifying execution. That means more vertical opportunities, better spacing, and clear route concepts, right? They're trying to they want to stop relying on individuals and start working more as a team overall. And I feel that that's going to start with your quarterback. So they definitely need to make a decision, but they definitely need to make a decision quickly because you're going to have to really start building off of whoever you decide to go with throughout the rest of the season. So hopefully they come to a conclusion soon. I expect probably within the next week or so, they'll probably have more of an idea who they're going to go with. Any other thoughts on Alabama? No. All right. Next up, Ohio State's offensive line remains the elephant in the room, right? Let's talk about Ohio State's offensive line, right? We just got done talking about expectations. We know what the expectations are at Ohio State, but really, when you look at it, what are the concerns, right? For the superstar talent at Ohio State that they possess, Ryan Day continues to emphasize the offensive line as an area that they must improve. Ohio State's veteran-heavy group struggled badly at critical moments towards the end of the 2025 season, and the Buckeyes enter camp without every position completely settled, right? Luke Montgomery is one of the anchors after starting 14 games in 2025 and not allowing a regular season sack, while Ohio State is also sorting through its interior combinations. There's been some question marks at interior offensive line, to be honest. Another interesting battle is that defensive tackle, where former five-star Edric Houston is expected to make a huge step in finally breaking out the way that he wanted to before having injury. He's competing with Alabama transfer James Smith, watch out for that guy. I have a feeling he's going to have a big season this season as well. And Ohio State may ultimately rotate both extensively. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Ohio State can have Julian Sayin and elite skill talent everywhere, but if the offensive line again gets pushed around, that's going to be a big issue. That's where I need to see either Julian Sayin, make a big step and understand when he needs to release the ball, as well as make sure he can, manage those situations a little bit better than he did towards the end of the season. But at the same time, when you have a skill set of this kind, it really shouldn't matter. You should be able to get the ball away as quickly as you possibly can and get rid of the ball. Because the way that I'm hearing, and this is something that I've heard it now twice in from different sources, I would say, or even people in the media, the way that the wide receiver coaches at Ohio State are talking about their wide receiver room, right, or even just talking about the skill set rooms, right, that they have. They're not 2 or 3 guys deep. They're saying there's 6 or 7 guys deep that if somebody goes down, you won't see drop off. Do you know how crazy that is to say that you're 6 or 7 deep in your skill set positions, and that if you lose somebody, you're not going to see drop off? Being 6 and 7 deep, that is absolute nuts. Now, granted, I know we have the best wide receiver in all of college football, Jeremiah Smith. We have Chris Henry Jr. that Steve mentioned nice earlier, right? There's names that you guys may not know. A big one that I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, he is starting to really shine in camp. And somebody that I really hold dear when it comes to information that he provides said that this guy could be first-round talent when it's said and done. Devin McEwen, the transfer out of UTSA. I'm hearing big-time stuff. I heard this guy has the size. I've heard people say he's going to be first-round talent, right? Everyone thought Brandon Inniss was going to be the number 3 guy. I don't know. With Devin McEwen there, I don't know if he'll be the number 3 guy. And then you have Brock Boyd, the freshman, the guy that everyone says is a big-time receiver in his own right. You have guys in the running back room. We talk about Legend Bay, for example, right? We have Bo Jackson, Isaiah West. Did you guys know this? Isaiah West did start the camp with number 1s. Bo Jackson did not. He was with the number 2s. He did return to the number 1s, I believe today or yesterday. He finally did. But the first 2 days of camp, he was with the number 2s. That kind of concerned me for a little bit, just a little bit. But it could be various different reasons. Something I'm hearing that's being speculated among fans is that they're trying to create that Travion Henderson, Keyshawn Junkins style 1-2 punch. And by having both guys play with the number 1s, it'll build chemistry with both. I don't know how you guys feel about that. But they definitely have 3 guys at running back that I think that can make a definitely big time push in training camp. What do you guys think about the offensive line being 6 or 7 deep? Like, what do you guys think about that with the skill position?
You know, when I hear you talk, you know what this says to me? Expectations.
What? We were talking about. Listen, I'm always let's win freaking championship, guys. That's
I know. I love messing with you.
Go ahead.
I think this just goes back to when we talked about Ohio State. I mean, really, the offensive line, the trenches, if you will, are going to make or break the season for them, right? Are these guys going to come out, take care of business, give Sand and the running backs the holes that they need, right? If any of them get pushed around in any shape or manner, I mean, it's just going to put more stress on your quarterback. So it's really going to depend what those guys up front do for you. As long as they do exactly what you need, then yeah, that 6 or 7 deep is going to torch everyone all year. The running backs, yeah, I think it is good in the new modern college football, the NIL, having all these guys in and out, to have them be with the 1s and the 2s. That way you are making chemistry all the way across the board. I think it makes sense that when you do that.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I think I said it to you guys. I'd love to see Legend Bay, become that good running back, and then he ends up going to San Francisco, Legend in the Bay, and it just writes itself.
And he could be Legend in the Bay at Tampa Bay too. So you're on, or Green Bay.
Hey, true.
Listen. Here's the reality for Legend Bay. I don't think he'll ever be like a every down back, but I think he could be one of those special type of players, juggernaut players, that you could have him at running back. You could have him at receiver. He could be that XYZ kind of guy at any moment type of athletes. If you know what the Swiss Army knife type of guy. That's what I think he'll end up becoming for you. What do you got, Steve? What do you think?
Well, I wanted to touch on that McEwen thing because you said wide receiver 3. I was reading an article before we started up today that was talking about him as the number 2.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He could be number 2. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying he could be first round talent. That was really what I was implying. But he could definitely be number 2. Shit.
Well,
Chris
they
Henry's
were
job might be in danger, but no, Chris Henry's just so talented. I could see the 3 guys being on the field at all times. That's what I'm saying.
well, they I don't think his job's in danger because he's a freshman,
I
man.
know it was
Like,
a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke.
yeah, and McEwen's a senior, but I mean, his first 3 years at Texas San Antonio, he caught 152 passes for 16, damn near 1,700 yards and 16 touchdowns. Like, he's explosive. Like, I think he could get very interesting. Y'all could get some very interesting stuff out of them. Ryan Day said, I think it was, what day was this? This is 6. So what, last Thursday, I think it was. He
Yeah.
was quoted saying that Devin McEwen, he was consistent in the spring, and now he's going to take the huge step here because that position, as we know, is going to be critical. That position is really going to be an important part of our offense, and Devin certainly has put himself in a position to be that guy that was going to compete for it and win the job. So, like, you again, it's no secret Ohio State is wide receiver you. Like, you guys are stacked loaded. Like, y'all lost a 4-star recruit to USF, and like everybody's just like, whatever. Like,
So I
so
guess for me, like the loss of Carnell Tate, I didn't really know who was going to grow to be that number 2. I knew Chris Henry Jr. is really good, but could he just immediately fill the whole void? I don't know. And then when I'm hearing about Devin McEwen, granted he was at UTSA, this he looks like a guy at camp that has the body and really could be a guy that could fill Carnell Tate's position no problem, is basically what I'm saying. Hey, he's explosive, the way he gets off the ball, he catches, just some things I've seen that I'm just like, wow. But they really feel that confident in their receiver group that they're 6 or 7 deep and they don't have to worry about a drop off. That is nuts to me. I've never heard of that, right? It was always a 2-man, like they always had good receivers behind the top 2 or 3 guys, but there was obviously going to be expected some type of drop off. They're saying they feel like there's no drop off according to some insiders that I know, right? That's
yeah,
kind of nuts. The other thing about camp that I found interesting is just kind of understanding how, like, listening to Arthur Smith and Matt Patricia talk about their process at camp and how they address the team and everything. Like with Arthur Smith, like what I understand is like there's changes, but there's not changes. A lot of it's just like language, terminology, that kind of stuff. But then there's changes that he's subtly making that are surprising some, right? So it's going to be really interesting. I'm actually a little bit more confident now that I've heard from coaches and certain people that's been there at training camp. I'm more confident than I was before. Like I knew we would have good offense, but now even the defense is starting to me, from what I understand, is looking really good. It's not necessarily perfect. We still got question marks, but I think there's the biggest question marks I have anywhere on the roster is the offensive line. Like, are we really got to shore up that interior offensive line? That's what I think.
well, on that, Luke Montgomery, one of your offensive linemen, was quoted saying, and this kind of goes to just how difficult I think Ohio State's path is, even though I know there's been a lot of debate over who's who. Ryan Day was quoted telling them uh, last week that they have the opportunity to play 11 top 20 matchup games, where we're going to have at least 6 or 7 of those in the regular season. And that's going to help us get calloused and ready for the playoff games when those come around. So they they definitely, to your point, they're going to have to shore up that offensive line, and it's definitely going to have to play better than it did during the playoffs last year. Y'all got some real games coming up this year. So
Yeah, we got that. I know some people argue with me because I called it a juggernaut, but you really look having to go from, going all the way over to play USC, to come all the way back to play Oregon and Indiana. You're going back and forth. I think that's going to be a big challenge for Ohio State this season, but we'll definitely see. I definitely agree with you. Let's keep it moving. Where was I? Right here. Next up, Texas. Texas looks deeper. Arch Manning appears firmly in control, right? That's what I'm hearing. We saw an amazing catch by who? By who, Steve?
Cam Coleman.
Steve's favorite receiver. Cam Coleman made like some crazy acrobatic, one-handed, behind the back type of catch. It was nuts. It's been all over the internet. It's been trending. And everyone's like super excited, right? Early Texas practices have produced encouragement or encouraging words or reports about Arch Manning, including different players like Kobe Black, even the Hollywood Smothers, and Rasheem Biles. To give you an example, Steve Sarkisian has specifically praised Texas improving overall conditioning and roster depth. Texas brought in massive group of newcomers, 22 transfers, and 24 freshmen. And early in camp is largely about identifying which ones can actually crack a loaded rotation. Manning isn't fighting for his job. The camp is about refining an offense around him. The more interesting battle may be whether Texas reconstructed supporting cast can develop quickly enough around a quarterback who enters the 2026 with enormous expectations. Listen, how do I say this? I don't think the heat is on Arch Manning that he's fighting for his job. I think the heat is on Arch Manning because he needs to make sure he starts the season in first gear. That's what I think. I don't think he can go in being neutral like he was last season and get away with it. I think he'll end up falling in the draft. He won't be my consensus number one quarterback anymore. He's definitely one of my top two quarterbacks, but he's not my number one at this point. Actually, he's my number one at this point based on the last 8 games of the season. But what we saw earlier on, he was definitely dropping. So he has to start this season strong, hard. I know the second week against Ohio State is going to be tough for both teams. And to be honest, I was watching a content creator on 3 talking about whoever loses the Ohio State versus Texas game. It's not the end of the world, right? For either team, right? Whoever wins, especially if they keep it close, it doesn't matter if Texas loses. It won't end the season for them, and it won't end the season if Ohio State loses because of the type of game it is and who they're playing and being only the second week of the season, right? So that game is okay to lose if you're going to drop one for either team. I can't let Arch Manning going into that type of scenario and being in neutral. Steve Sarkisian needs Arch Manning to be at top game like you saw the last 8 games of the season last season. That's what I need from him. So the expectations are going to be large for him specifically. What do you guys think about Texas? Is there anything that going on there that you guys feel needs to be brought to attention? What do you think about Arch Manning? Like, what do you guys think?
So, I like what I'm seeing from obviously getting, Cam Coleman in there to go with the other pieces that they have. It's nice to see they're continuing to build around Arch and what they have at quarterback. And it's also nice to see Arch, when I can tell, fixing some of those throwing mechanics that we were all like, oh my Lord, what is this? I got tired of seeing that sidearm crap all the time. And I'm like, dude, that's so not good. And now we're seeing some videos where the dude's just chucking the ball down the field in camp right now. It's effortless, and it's the proper throwing motion. So I'm very excited to see Arch this year after, let's be honest, it wasn't, I wouldn't say it lackluster when it comes to expectations behind the hype, right? But in my opinion, not lackluster as a first-year starter to find a way to get better through the season. Now you've showed a way to get better through that season, so now you got to take that point and you got to get better through this season. Like you got to continue to elevate yourself, which I think is doable. Again, you're not going to Ohio State this time. Ohio State's coming to you. You know, if I'm Arch Manning, I'm trying every bit I can to get revenge at Ohio State this year after losing to them last year and kind of being, lackluster and not playing so good, and really got an opportunity here to take advantage of it. I don't know. We'll see. Again, I'm with you. If he comes out and he doesn't elevate play, he can't be number one. If this guy comes out and he's just shredding defenses and Texas offense is rolling all year, no doubt number one.
I think there's two sets of players vying for positioning based on that Ohio State and Texas game. Cam Coleman, Jeremiah Smith, and Julian Sand, and obviously Manning, right? Both are going to use that game as a reference point on, well, look which one of us outdid the other secondary, right? Those two are going to be, they're going to be working with the quarterbacks are going to be working with their wide receivers in tandem to try and get one over on the other. Arch cannot play like he did against Ohio State last year. He cannot. Just that game specifically. And then he has to be able to go and beat LSU. He has to. He can't, there's a few games on that list they just cannot afford to lose. And I could say the same about Ohio State too, right? But that Texas team just has way too much talent. If Arch can't elevate that talent to one of the best teams in the league, he ain't nothing like we were promised. It ain't there. I'm sorry. There's just way too much talent. They got a line. They got running backs. They got wide receivers. They got everything Arch ever needed. Again, we talked about this, in our personal conversations with what the Dolphins had to do. Everything had to be perfect for Tua. Well, Arch, you got everything perfect, brother. It's time. Show us what we were promised. It's that simple. You're muted.
Of course, I'm muted. Sorry. Shout out to Texas. We'll definitely see how it goes, during the season for them. But speaking about teams that have a lot to lose, Texas kind of does too with Sarkisian. They definitely need to perform under Sarkisian. So I kind of feel like they got a lot to lose, to be honest. Let's keep it moving. This was something I mentioned or alluded to. LSU, Sam Leavitt's health is huge news, right? That's some news coming out. LSU, this might be one of the most important positive developments of camp. Sam Leavitt is throwing normally again after missing spring work while recovering from a foot injury. Early reports are saying that he has good velocity, quick release, strong footwork, command of the offense. I'm hearing ability to attack vertically. That's basically some of the things that I've heard, according to my notes. Now, by LSU's fourth practice, Leavitt was working deep with deep balls and delayed handoffs, although timing wasn't perfect on every throw, is something else I've read. Other LSU names popping are Trey'Dez Green, Prince Will Umamalin has looked physically impressive. Let's see.
His brother was drafted this year.
Really? That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, from the same school.
Yeah, there's some other names too that have popped. But the real thing is, if Leavitt is truly 100%, LSU does become considerably more dangerous. And that could be why some people are high on them when it comes to what they could do. And that's why their coaches poll may have a higher ranking. And it's not so much overrated, to be honest, when you look at that. Because Sam Leavitt was a hot quarterback last season. I believe he was at Arizona State, I believe. One of those teams.
Yes.
So he was a hot economy. So it's matter. We'll see what he can do at LSU. To be honest, I really don't believe in the Lane Kiffin. You really look at it, Lane Kiffin hasn't won any college football playoff games at all, right? Golding has actually surprisingly won 2. So that's kind of why I'm higher on Ole Miss than I am like in LSU, for example, right? But the reality is I think that they do have some talent on that team. It's still a work in progress. They're relying way more on the transfer portal than any other team is this season and what they brought in. Will it work out? I don't know. So we'll definitely see what happens. I just don't know. I don't know. It's Lane Kiffin though. Are we really believing in it? I guess I don't know. What do you guys think? I hate to be the hater on LSU because they've had some really good teams over the years. I just don't know if this was the right move. If you understand,
I'm with you. Lane Kiffin effect's totally there. I'm with you. No arguments. Lane Kiffin, I just don't believe in the guy. It's almost like Lincoln Riley to me. I feel like those two guys are almost one and the same. They just all this hype and nothing with them. But that's just me. Well, I mean, Sam. From what I've heard, obviously I haven't seen too much about the kid, but very highly coveted quarterback, very talented. Obviously, if you're at LSU, you need to do to stay on the field. Obviously, if he had something that he was dealing with, foot or whatever, glad he could get that taken care of, and he's back doing what he needs to do. Obviously, it looks like he hasn't lost any velocity, things of that such. So that's good, but that's not something that you want to worry about going into the season. Like, oh, he gets sacked in like the second game of the season or something, and then next thing it tweaks that foot or something. Like, hopefully this is something that's fully healed. He's not going to have to worry about again. Not something that we're going to talk about coming back throughout the season.
No, it's really interesting, Ollie. I'm surprised you didn't mention why the velocity is so much is still there. He gained 10 pounds of muscle. So he upped his weight. So I think he did what he needed to do to put himself in the right position to be really good for LSU. Here's the thing about Kiffin, and I brought it up earlier. Like again, we've talked about him. I think they're gonna be a decent team. Like I think Kiffin's good enough to make a decent team. We saw that with Ole Miss, right? Like you saw how good those players were. He can find talent. I don't think he's ever that coach to take you over the top. And that's what we've talked about, right? So I think there's enough in Sam Levitt's bag of tricks with his mobility. And we'll see if that extra 10 pounds affects that mobility at all. But I think there's enough there that he's gonna be really good for them. You're muted again.
Absolutely, my friend. I definitely agree. 100%. On to the next. Georgia. Kirby Smart wants the Bulldogs to get nasty again, right? I like his philosophy. Kirby Smart, if you didn't know, is one of my top 3 coaches in college football today, right? And he's a 2-time winner, knows how to build them. He consistently builds a defense that is one of the hardest hitting defenses in college football. That's just how I look at it. So yeah, it is really interesting. I'm kind of excited for Kirby Smart, but the biggest Georgia camp storyline isn't quarterback. It could be receiver, but it's really physicality, right? Kirby Smart has openly stressed that Georgia must improve running the football, stopping the run, producing explosive plays, and creating turnovers, right? We need to start creating more turnovers, he says. Those are not random talking points. Those are areas Smart believes weren't consistently at Georgia's championship standard last season. Safety KJ Bolden is also emerging as one of Georgia's important defensive leaders. Meanwhile, Georgia's maintaining injuries carefully, including the running back room, while also injured in an ATV accident was Dowdell. I swear, every time I turn around, some player from Georgia is in some type of vehicle accident. Let it be ATV, car, motorcycle, something, car racing, something. It's crazy. So somebody needs to just take all their driver's license away. To be 100% honest, it's kind of nuts. Listen, the thing for me is I don't think Georgia really is, rebuilding, so to speak. I think they're just reloading. And I think it is going to come down to physicality. That's something they need to get back to being better at their team. Now, I was going to wait until bottom line, but I'll go ahead and bring it up now. Kirby Smart also has set an expectation for his receivers, right? The receiving room. He basically sent out a clear message to them. And he basically, what was said is, I'm just very thankful for people like you that you keep questioning them, because the more you question them, the more it helps me motivate them. Everybody says that they don't listen to you guys. The wide receivers are listening, so they'll have a new challenge issued based on your question. He was talking about the reporter and asking questions about the receiving room. The biggest knock about Georgia's receiving room has been they've never really had the elite receivers that Ohio State has, or a team like Miami has, right? And that has been their big issue when they had Carson Beck or and other quarterbacks and so on. Yeah, they've had some over the years that have been really good, but in more recent years, they've kind of had mediocre receivers. They're good, but they're not great, and they're not elite. And that's the one area that I think that was really affecting them. Well, I've read that they brought in some newer talent, receiver, and they still don't have top end elite receivers, but I actually think they have a receiving group that could become good, right? And it's interesting how he was using what the media was questioning them for as a way to motivate them. Like, what do you guys think? Do you think that's healthy to kind of put them in the face? They say you're trash. How are you going to respond? I mean, I'm not saying that's how he's going to go about it, but what do you think about what he had to say?
I mean, bulletin board material is always a good thing for your team. I want guys that are going to want to beat narratives, guys that want to prove people wrong, and guys that want to show that they are as good as they think they are, not what other people think they are, right? I have no problem with it. If that's what's going to take to get one of your core principles back that you love to coach, and that's being physical and really having an attacking football team, that's how you got to do it, then do it, man. Whatever helps get Georgia back into being that, ferocious team that we saw them here a couple seasons ago. All for it, man. Again, I love bulletin board material.
Definitely. What do you got, Steve?
I'm gonna take you into history real quick.
Oh shit! Here we go.
Do you know what?
Let me go get my popcorn. I'll be right back. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Do you remember what former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, the Miami Dolphins, and the University of Miami used to do to his teams? With
Jimmy Johnson is who you're talking about, but what did he do?
He used to hold special, in-depth interviews with all the media teams, and I know this because of Alan Poupart, the Dolphins reporter who's been with us since Shula.
Yeah.
He used to talk about how Jimmy Johnson would take shots at players in meeting and little interviews so that they would put them in their articles so the players would see it.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. That is a way. I know he's going to read this, so I want him to see it.
Exactly.
I like that.
Jimmy did that shit a lot. So it helps. I think it helps light a fire under some of these players' butts.
Yeah.
Georgia, and you asked me this question when we did our again, our what's it called? Our
Breakdown.
no, when we did our dynasty, who would be the head coach if you were going to build a dynasty? Who would you trust? And I said Kirby Smart, and I stand on that. I do think he's like in coaching, he's one of the three up there. Like I know
Yeah.
some people might have some other guys in front of him. We had a conversation about head coaches in the space today, and I can't believe that Mario Cristobal wasn't on a list. Like he tried to throw the person tried to throw Kellen DeBoer above some of these coaches. It was driving me crazy. Um, Kirby Smart's one of them ones, and he builds a Big Ten team in a different conference, and it's weird that that's just who Georgia is, right? So it's just I their emphasis is never going to be the receivers, but he wants to get the most out of the guys he does bring in, and he uses the media to get in under their skin. I like that.
You know why he's able to do that, by the way, right? Why he was able to build a Big Ten team and be able to win as much as he had in a different conference is because that defense has been elite for so many years. That's why he's able to do that, because he has the elite defense that he can rely on to ensure when they get the ball back, they're getting the ball back in a position that's formidable to run a Big Ten offense. That's the reality. That's something that
It's
I'll
his
argue that
philosophy.
Matt Campbell, unfortunately, in his tenure as Iowa State's coach, didn't have. I heard you mention it in the X chat today, Mystic, about how Matt Campbell really had a Big Ten team that he was trying to play in the Big 12, right? That would work if he had the elite defense, and that's something he just never had. So that's something I think we don't think about is how much one side of the ball can matter when you're trying to do something different that's not normally done in your conference. So just some food for thought. But yeah, I agree with you. Kirby Smart is one of the top 3 coaches in college football today. He definitely knows how to build a team. I think it didn't matter if you went Kirby Smart, you went Kurt Signetti, or you even went Ryan Day. I don't think you would have been wrong with any 3 of those coaches. Doesn't matter which one you picked out of those 3, you would have been okay. That's just how I feel about it. Everybody hit the like button. We're going to go ahead and get into the bottom line. The bottom line. Everyone hit the like button, subscribe if you're brand new, tell your friends about our show. This is another 4th and 10U exclusive episode, found on the 4th and 10U channel. Every Thursday, 8 p.m., you can see a new episode. 8 p.m. Eastern time, to be exact. So I have some bottom line, like little tidbit stuff that we didn't really talk about when it came to some of the biggest news coming out of camp. I have one for Backwoods Mystic specifically. This is his stepbrother in waiting that I want to talk about. Michigan. Bryce Underwood is getting legitimate breakout buzz, is the big headline. One of the biggest early camp stories is Bryce Underwood apparently looking significantly improved as a passer. His passes to his receivers look stronger, more direct. Reports in Michigan camp describe better mechanics and much more polished looking quarterback compared with the freshman who only threw 11 touchdowns in 2025. What are your thoughts, Mystic?
So, oh man, when you say that he's breaking out or breaking down with a buzz, what's he breaking down there? Is he breaking down that product for them backwoods? I'm not. Oh, I'm just kidding.
Well, what
I'm
I
happy.
understand is he's breaking down the hot box and putting it away for right now.
That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. I'm again. When we had the episode we had about Michigan, I said it multiple times too. Yeah, as hard as I'm being on the kid, it's only because of the talent that the kid has. I mean, we should have been talking about this last year. And this he has the talent, the arm talent. He has the ability to be mobile. Like, he can do what you want from the quarterback position. He can be a hell of a playmaker. So it's like, dude, take care of your shit on the field and go have your fun off the field. Don't. What was that famous line? I was always told, you don't mix pleasure and business, and that's what he was doing.
Listen, I think the reality is this: the reason this kid had all the talent with all the wrong people in front of him. That's the problem, right? That coaching staff was a joke. When you look at all the scandal and stuff that they were dealing with, Sharon Moore really didn't coach or do anything different. He didn't do anything even groundbreaking when it comes to what he put around that kid. In fact, I feel kind of bad for him because he's already 1 year in, but 1 year behind everyone else that came in during that same class, right? Kyle Whittingham is a guy that I think is going to put this guy straight forward. He's going to be a no-nonsense, coming in to take care of business. We're going to do it my way, and you're going to be successful. And already this offseason, that granted, it's only 3 days into camp or whatever, it looks okay. It looks better than what he's looked like in the past. So I can't hate it. I got to see more of it, though. We got a long way to go. We have a whole season to play. So let's see what happens. But this is a good start for him being objective. Granted, I'm not a Michigan fan, so I love to hate. But at the same time, I'll be objective and be honest about it. So I think it's good for him. What do you think, Steve, about Michigan and the no hot boxing around campus signs? No, I'm just kidding. What do you think about Michigan?
I mean, we talked about this. I think they're in the right position with the right head coach, and maybe this guy will be able to get whatever Sharon Moore couldn't get out of Bryce Underwood. Like, agree with it, disagree with it. I think there was a lot of distractions, and I do think that there are certain people who needed to be removed for not nipping the distractions in the butt before it got to where it is now. I do think that part of why Michigan's had the problems it has does boil down to its AD being a little bit of not neglectful, but what's the word I'm looking for? Not present, I guess. I don't think he put in the work on the team to that it needed on all across its sports issues, right? To really hone in that school's sports program. So we'll see. That gentleman is now gone. Whether you agree he should be or not, that this is where they are. They got a head coach that I think is perfect for what Michigan needs, who believes in that run the ball, play heavy trenches, play good defense. And I'm gonna support any dude who rolls in with a leather jacket on a Harley. I'm just, it is what it is. Yeah, I think they're now taking that UE and starting to head in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think it's definitely heading in the right direction. In addition, in other news, a little bit further west of Michigan, Notre Dame, CJ Carr is taking command, right? CJ Carr is increasingly opening like the unquestioned leader of the offense. From what I understand, he is being defined as the definite number one, while other quarterbacks on the team, such as Blake Herbert, no relation to Justin Herbert, or Noah Grubbs and Teddy Gerard, are all fighting for QB2. I've also heard, there's been some players, running backs that have returned from injury, while, other offensive linemen are working gradually after ACL injuries. But it's interesting to know that he's the definitive QB1. Is CJ Carr the real deal? I kind of felt, in my opinion, he felt overrated to me. Like, how do you guys feel about that?
I mean, yeah.
Just a little bit.
I don't know if I want to say overrated yet, right? Underwhelming. Easily underwhelming. I guess I was sold. I'm going to see this talented quarterback and this and that, and like again, it goes back to the Notre Dame thing that I say all the time, that team is horrifically overrated. Like they're always taught or toted up to be some great team, and like I never really see them live up to it. And I think Carr just kind of goes right along with that. Now, can that change? Absolutely. Could he come out this year and light college football scene on fire and show, hey, I'm a real deal quarterback and these are the weapons? Like, absolutely, right? Um, I think I would really like to see that than what we saw last year. A guy that had hype again and didn't really see it back up the hype, right?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. One last tidbit I want to kind of end on. USC has some brutal injury news coming out of California right now. This is one of the worst pieces of camp news nationally. Starting center Killian O'Connor suffered a season ending knee injury. This is particularly painful because USC's offensive line had actually protected Jaden Mavia extremely well last season. USC nevertheless believes its roster is deeper than previous Lincoln Riley season, so we'll see how it goes. The biggest question mark here is, we're going into a season that Lincoln Riley really has to perform. He really has to make sure his team is in the best position to be successful. And, even though he's had like 3 straight top ranking recruiting, teams and everything that he's put together, they've never really put it out on the field. And this was a year I thought they were going to really break out. So it is kind of sad that this happens, right at the beginning of training camp. Like, what do you guys think about this? Is it too much for USC, or USC has enough talent to be still competitive regardless of losing their starting center?
They should have enough talent, but look, my left tackle and my right tackles are super important, right? And I think your center is just as important as those guys. You're talking about a guy that makes sure everyone's set up properly, calling out the formations, making sure, the doubles are where they need to be. Like it's very hard to replace the, quote unquote captain of your line, right? Like steep hill to climb at the beginning of the season before games have even started. Again, USC should have the talent to overcome that. But you're going to see probably right away, from the start of the season through these games, they're going to miss that center right out the gate.
This is true. But I think the biggest issue how do I say this? You have to look at, there's a quarterback of every position group, right? And I feel like the center is the quarterback of the offensive line. So now whoever that backup is, he's going to have to make sure that his vision of what's going on the defense when they line up is top notch. He's going to have to point out things that much faster. He's going to have to make sure he relays communication across the whole offensive line to his quarterback in everything, right? He's going to have to make sure he listens for the snap count correctly each snap and everything. So I think it's going to be tough. Can they get it done? Maybe, but I think offensively, like you look at their quarterback, if this quarterback Mavia is as good as what we've been kind of hyping him up to be, he should be able to play out of it still. So we'll definitely see what happens, but that's a huge hit. It's going to be tough when they play teams like Ohio State or someone that has like a defense like that. I think it is going to be tough for them. Everybody hit the like button. What are you guys' final thoughts?
I'll just be quick here. One more tidbit on the USC thing. They're going to have problems when they play Oregon. That Oregon defensive line is going to be nasty this year. So, again, losing your middle of your offensive line going against that's going to be a tall task. Mm-hmm. Again, we're, 2-3 short weeks away from the start of the college season. And I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be a really good season, top to bottom. I think we're going to have some very interesting plays come out. I think some surprising teams. I think we have some big upsets this year that people don't see. Super excited about it. And again, glad to be here going through all the drama and the fun with my two co-hosts here. And we appreciate everybody for their time, their subscriptions, and the like. So again, keep following us, keep fueling us. We're going to keep giving you guys content.
Thank you, Mystic. Appreciate you. What's up, Steve?
Just to go off of what you were saying, USC's backup center is Caden Smith, a 3-star freshman. So, yeah. However, they do got a 5-star tackle freshman in Pepe Kanini. I think is how you say his name, or Kenye, that we talked about. So maybe they have another player that they like at center that they can move over that might have the veteran presence. You know what I mean? So we'll see how that works for them. I was hoping we'd have time to go over it a little bit on the show. Went a little longer than we thought. I just wanted to throw in because I do know there's at least one other USF fan, Ohio State South. Hey, I got to do it, right? So
Go ahead.
Brian Hartline did his interview today after the first week of camp. Again, this man just knows how to talk to get me hyped up. He was talking about, it's all fun and games until you start getting popped in the face. So he's looking forward to getting to that part. He's like, camp's been nice and well and all that, but I'm ready for the actual hard hitting action where we're all banged up and bruised up, and now we really figuring out what it is. God, I might marry this man.
Hold that thought. I have a perfect image that has already popped in my head. I'm gonna go ahead and you're teasing me, bro. He said it just to tease me because I want to show the world this photo.
Like I said, at 200 subscribers, we will talk about it.
We will have it fourth and only show only. Subscribers only allowed in the chat.
They asked him about the quarterback competition that's happening between Croman Hook from Florida State and Van Buren from LSU. Both of them 4-star recruits. They're kind of a little different. Croman Hook's like that, built like Josh Allen. Like if you could take a guy, put him in a mold of the perfect NFL quarterback, out pops a Croman Hook, right? But he was talking, and he was asked to explain them. And what's interesting to me is I've thought Van Buren was leading the charge, like you and I have talked about a few times, Ollie, about it, right? But his first thought in his head was to start talking about Croman Hook, even though he kind of circled back and was like, both obviously they're the competition's so tight, or he would already know who your quarterback is, right? But just the 6'5" frame, 225 pounds, he's just a big ass quarterback with a strong arm and enough mobility that he can make some plays. But he really got into like one of the edges, CJ. I can't remember his last name. He came from, I think he was like the all Sun Belt first team, all Sun Belt. So it's a bunch of guys from smaller conferences that he's putting to work in the American, which is still a small, like a lower end conference, I guess. But I like the way he's talking about things. And from what the beat reporters are saying, this is the most intense practices that they've ever seen for USF. And that's including Gulich last year, who said, we felt disrespected and we just wanted to fight everybody.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Everyone hit the like button. Subscribe if you're brand new. USF news. We just got, I cannot believe this is actually, I got to hit this real quick. Let me do this real quick because we have breaking news. shout out to the breaking news, but the breaking news for tonight is the fact that we went an entire episode without Mystic Backwoods going on an entire rant about the University of Indiana. Those are facts. I even mentioned Kurt Signetti a few times, and he didn't even budge to take the bait. So shout out to Indiana. But the news coming out of Indiana is, yeah, they're reloaded. They don't have any big time transfer injuries. I'm sorry, injuries at the camp or anything. Quarterback is just fine. Everything is hunky dory, rainbow and unicorns here in the Indiana world. To be honest, that's what I'm hearing for the most part. Everyone hit the like button. We'll be back at it. We'll see you next Tuesday. It's going to be a banger, so definitely make sure you're there. Subscribe, hit the like button, like I said, and we'll see you all in the next one. Ciao.